Hello, everybody. Rich Wildman here, Music Scene Investigation. It's where you get to hear all the good music before anybody else does, including our panel. And you also get to hear what they think about it as we go throughout the show, because they listen to it for the first time when you listen to it and provide their review and critique of that song just straight off the top as everybody hears it together on the broadcast. All right, on today's show, we've got some new music to talk about. We've got guest panels and panelists to talk with. We've also got some interesting news and announcements to make, and I want to get those out of the way right now. Number one, we're in the process of moving to new web servers. That means that starting tomorrow, we're going to disable the submission process temporarily until we get everything moved over to our new web servers. This is going to take a little time, so please be aware of that. We'll be making that announcement on the website as well, so hopefully we were not going to confuse anybody or leave anybody out. Second thing is the donate button on the top of the page. I think it's over there, and it's over on the right-hand side of the page. Please click that donate button if you like what we're doing and want to see it continue. At the present time, we do live audio broadcast and we record and post video. Depending upon how those donations go, we may have to draw back some of the activity that we provide, including going back to audio-only broadcast or even pre-recorded broadcast, or at worst, have to stop doing the broadcast altogether. So if you like what we're doing at Music Scene Investigation, if you are a musician and like the service we provide to you and other indie musicians, please help support Music Scene Investigation. All right. Yeah. Now we need to meet our panel. We're going to do that right now. So let's go straight to London, England, and talk to Mr. Ian Husbands. Ian, did I miss anything?
Did you ask them to donate?
I think I did.
Cool. I should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Did you say about the new servers?
I think I did. I talked about the new website, yeah.
Cool. And did you throw them the guilt trip that if they didn't donate, we might have to close down?
I'm pretty sure I did that too.
Awesome. Right, we're there. Good work.
Well, all right. Talk Like a Pirate Day was yesterday. Did you get involved in that in any way?
I did, Captain Right, yes.
Now, I know that before the show you had mentioned that perhaps, since not everybody talked as a pirate yesterday, that we should talk like pirates during the reviews today, or at least the panel should.
I did. I said we could offer doubloons for the reviews.
That means you're giving people doubloons?
Yeah, why not?
How many of them do you have?
That's my business, Rich, not yours.
Oh, come on. You can at least help a guy out here. I was going to say, if you've got a lot of them, you could donate some.
Never ask a man about his doubloons. It's not on.
Okay. All right.
Considered rude in some cultures.
I'm sorry. I'm a rude person. I'm American after all.
You said it, not me.
I'm just trying to say it before you do. So what else is going on with you? Anything new?
What's going on? No, I've had a sort of couple of quiet weeks, really, a bit like everyone else. I've been out doing lots of walking in forests and around lakes and stuff like that today. Well, the whole weekend, really, which has been nice.
Now, I have to apologize. I don't mean to interrupt you or cut your story short, but I'm seeing in the chat room people are saying that chipmunk sounds are what we're sounding like in some cases, rich on chipmunk steroids, and connections burping and whatnot. So I need to look at this connection here. I don't see anything horribly unusual with it. I mean, it looks okay.
They were asking if you were on chipmunk steroids, Rich, and I did let them know that we're giving you these steroids just so you can man up a bit.
Oh, all right. That's fine. I thought they were talking about the actual audio they were listening to being problematic. I don't know. All right, so you went to some walk in nature, went outside, I guess.
Yeah, we've been down to Gloucester, where my wife's parents are, and we went for a sort of walk around there, which is very nice. It's in the Cotswolds, which is very nice. And we've also been to a place called Black Park, which is local to us, and had ice cream and played on the swings and jumped around the lake merrily.
As long as you had fun, I'm not gonna talk bad about doing stuff like that.
Good.
If you're frolicking in the forest, feel free to go ahead.
Well, I am a hippie after all.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Nothing wrong with that right here, right now. All right, let's go to Las Vegas and bring in Andrea Bensmiller, who is joining us today. Hey, Andrea, how are you?
Hey, Rich.
Everything
I was going to try to match Ian's little pirate accent,
Arr.
but I don't know if I can make it happen.
If I remember correctly, I think all pirates back in the day were English of a sort. Because America was a young country at that time, so everybody had English accents, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know that we have too many American pirate legends out there.
No, I agree with that. It's not like Bob the Pirate or anything like that's around.
Andrea,
Yes.
why do pirates like Apple products?
No idea.
Because of the iPod.
Oh, Lord.
So what's happening, Andrea? Is there anything, we just need to nip that right in the bud. What is there anything going on in Vegas we need to know about? I know that you guys had a plane catch fire here last week or something.
Yeah, they did have a plane catch fire. I think that it didn't turn into a big disaster, so they must have done things right. But other than that, there's not a ton going on. There's some concerts. The Life is Beautiful concert series is up right now, so that's been kind of the deal. There's two big concert festivals here this time of year. One's called Bite of Las Vegas, where they basically have the restaurants come in and do a lot of food at the same time that they have these giant stages where they have all these national acts come on right after another. So that's actually supposed to be really cool. I've never been because it's always on a Saturday and I'm always working, but we have that, and then we have Life is Beautiful, which is a mixture of local bands and West Coast touring bands, and who are all indie bands, and some other larger acts. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. So have you ever played at any one of these events?
I haven't, because I did original music mostly in LA for 15 years. And then when I got up here, I was actually kind of shocked to hear that there isn't much of an original music scene here. And there have been some people trying to create one. And so some of us actually did that when I first arrived. And we were managing to get, certain nights to be original music nights. But it's tough to do that here because there's, Vegas venues really cater to people on vacation who want to hear music they know. So almost all the time you're playing covers.
Right.
And, there's not a ton of venues that support original music, because it's just not one of those things they can guarantee a crowd will sit for. So, I've done a little bit here, but I've never, gotten to do one of those big festivals. That's, I have a couple friends who are hardcore trying to get their bands, somewhere and still doing the making albums thing. And they're, sometimes they get in, sometimes they don't, depends.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
It's a pretty competitive thing now,
right,
to get,
right.
To get into those big festivals, especially as an unknown band. You really have to know somebody on the inside, so.
Yeah. It's good to see you as always. Always glad you're around with us, Andrea.
You too.
Now, all right, before I introduce you, Rob, what I want to do is I want to stop the radio connection and restart it. So if you're out there listening, I'm going to stop our radio connection and restart it. see if we can clear this bandwidth issue up. And so having stopped it, I'm going to shut that down. We're still recording the video, by the way. So that's not doing anything bad. But I want to try and get this
We're still recording the video, yeah?
Yeah, we're still recording the video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the video to cut this small part out.
Everyone freeze.
Hey, Ian, maybe this is where you should do, I don't know, sing a song like a pirate, you know? How about you?
Pirate's life for me.
How about you sing Let's Dance like a pirate?
Put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Let's dance. How about that?
Awesome.
All right, now let me see if I can get the microphone going again. And looks like we're back up to speed. No, we're back down. May have made it worse.
Get up,
right.
get down.
Looks like it's all right now. We'll see how it goes. All right, so everybody, we're back. The audio is back on the air, and let me just remember this as an edit point. Right here, we're editing. Okay, let's get back to the show. All right, and our guest panelist on today's broadcast is none other than Failed Muso himself. He's actually the purveyor of Failed Muso. He's an avid musician, and he's one of the only guys I know who actually goes out and rebuilds, repairs, lovingly recreates these Fairlights, beautiful machines. Rob Puricelli. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to come off the bench for some substitute time.
Well, no, you're like our star player.
Oh, if only that were true, but it's lovely for you to say so.
Now, I think it's great that you did join us today. And we talked a little bit before the show today of things that's going on, things that are happening. And I mentioned in the intro that you're the only guy I know who lovingly rebuilds these Fairlights. And before we talk about what I know we want to talk about, I got to ask you one question I don't think I ever have, is how long have you actually been rebuilding Fairlights?
Only 2 or 3 years, I would say. I've been into them for a lot longer, but yeah, an opportunity came along about 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, where a friend of mine who repairs them and he worked for Fairlight. In the days when Fairlight as a musical instrument manufacturer existed. And then when they went bust at the back end of 89, I think it was, he bought a whole bunch of old stock and continued to service and repair and maintain, and has made it one of a number of things that he does and still does to this day. And so he sent me a message knowing about my enthusiasm, and because I was located in the UK and that thing behind me there was in the UK, that's kind of how it came about. So there aren't many people that do restore Fairlights. And if you were to do a list of people, I would be at the very bottom of that list. And I'm not saying that to be humble or anything, but the guys above me who, people like Pedwell, and there's guy in France who does some great work, and a guy in Austria that does some great work. Those are the experts. I'm merely, an assistant.
Well, you
Rich, you told me we had the top bloke on.
What's that?
You told me we had the top Fairlight bloke on.
We do, according to everything I know.
In my defense, and in support of Ian's claim there, I was actually approached by Peter Vogel, the man who, in partnership with Kim Ryrie, invented the Fairlight when he was planning the launch of his software version for the iPad and the iPhone, because you can get the Fairlight app on there. And he actually approached me because he knew that I was a bit of a geek about Fairlights and had gathered a lot of information and a lot of stuff. So kind of my reputation preceded me and got me that gig. and because of that, I got the other gig as well. So.
All right. So Ian, there. There you go. That's all I got to say about that. All right, now we do have a question for you in the chat room.
How do we get hold of Peter Vogel?
No, that's not it at all. Stop it. Rob, Box of Crap out in the chat room wants to know, how do the Fairlights stack up against modern equipment? I know the Fairlights have been redesigned a number of times. How do they stack up against some of the modern equipment today's musicians are using?
That's a really, really good question, because you would have thought that for a machine that cost $100,000 US, that it really should still be standing up against a lot of today's equipment. And then there's this opposite argument that says, well, it's a machine that's over 30 years old, so it can't possibly stand up against today's modern equipment. And the answer really is both, because in certain aspects, the Fairlight CMI, depending on the version, because there were three main versions, the 1, the 2, and the 3, the series 1, 2, and 3. There were some other versions that came that were more focused on post-production, movie production, and that had a lot of other equipment. And it was one of the first hard disk recorders as well, the Fairlight. That was introduced as an option, an expensive one at that. But if you were to take the sampler within a Fairlight, Series 1 and Series 2, compared to a modern-day software sampler, or even a hardware sampler of the last 20 years, then in terms of audio fidelity, when you're measuring it in terms of numbers on paper, they don't stack up. The processing power in your iPhone is, 20-fold more powerful than what existed in the Fairlight. However, the character that was introduced into the sound by the audio processing hardware is something that is incredibly difficult to replicate, which is why you've never really seen a proper Fairlight emulation, software emulation. Sure, you can buy lots of Fairlight sound libraries, and there's some really good ones out there, but you will never accurately recreate the Fairlight unless you get in deep into DSP processing. And when Peter Vogel brought out the Fairlight 30th anniversary edition a few years back, that's exactly what he did. He replicated all of those antique cards that were in the Fairlight that had antique vintage processors and all sorts of gubbins on them. And he modeled those in an incredibly expensive DSP system. That's the only way you can get the real true character of the Fairlight. So how does it stand up to modern synthesizers and samplers? Very well, because it has a unique character. It sounds like nothing else. And even the Series 3 Fairlight, which is this one that you see behind me here, that's got a sampling rate that not even a software sampler bothers with. That could sample at 100 kilohertz, and that's a lot higher than today's modern samplers do. There's a reason why it does that. And there's a reason why modern software samplers don't bother doing that. But, it had a lot going for it. And it's like any vintage synthesizer. Nowadays, you can get a good software approximation of them. But the real thing just has that something. And I think with the Fairlight, more often than not, it's character. And it's the character that it overlaid on top of the sound. You could sample a piano, and it sounded a little bit, actually sounded quite a lot like a piano, but it was different to a piano, and that's what made it unique. And of course, there's the programming aspect. The sequencing, the fact that the Fairlight was the first kind of digital audio workstation, because it was a computer that not only generated sound, but also you could program and sequence tracks and songs within the on an on-screen sequencer. That had never been done before, and that really is a pain in the butt to use nowadays, especially if you're used to modern stuff.
Right.
But what that did was, at the time, it freed up musicians, just one musician, to do a whole load of stuff. But it also had an effect on the sound. And so if you listen to music in the 1980s, you can tell a Fairlight record because it has not only a sonic quality from the sound, but it's got
like a certain feel to it.
Yeah, and that feel comes out of the way that the Fairlight did stuff.
Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Now, I do want to get to listening to some of the music that we're going to take a listen to today. Before we do that, I have one more question for you, Rob. And it doesn't have to do with the Fairlight. You said before the show that you've been out doing a lot of listening lately and expanding your record library. So I've got to ask you the one question that begs to be asked. What is your favorite thing that you've listened to over the past month or so that you've had the opportunity to hear?
I've been really going for it because about 18 months ago, I kind of rediscovered vinyl. I'd always kept my vinyl collection, but it had just kind of been stored away. And so I just kind of got back into it and heavily, and I've been buying lots and lots of stuff. So what's the most interesting thing? One of the albums that's really struck me just lately was the brand new album from Public Image Limited, John Lydon's band. His new album's called What the World Needs Now, and it's very, very good. And there's a couple of bands over here in the UK that maybe you've not heard of in the US. There's a group called Young Fathers. It's 3 guys from Edinburgh, although they've got real deep multicultural backgrounds. So a couple of the guys have got deep African roots, and the other guys, from Scotland. And the noise they make is incredible. It's jarring, but it's really incredible stuff. And there's another band who have really stoked or rekindled my punk ethic, which got buried many years ago, I guess. Band called Sleaford Mods, and it's these 2 guys that are about my age, so they're mid-40s. There's one guy who just stands there and presses a button on a laptop and plays back a backing track, but the other guy, he essentially, I guess it's rapping because he doesn't sing. But he does it in an East Midlands British accent, which, if you're not from the UK, I guess that may be a little hard to understand. But
y'all sound the same to us. I'm just saying,
Sounds like a pirate.
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Pirates rapping.
It's incredibly exciting music, and it's very social political commentary, and it's made me kind of. Is rekindle those embers of punk that had long been buried.
Very cool. Very cool stuff. Well, I am so happy to have you with us today. And like I said, we could sit and talk all day long, and I wish we could. We should really do that, Ian. Let's schedule a time where we can just sit with Rob and talk. What do you think?
We've done one already, haven't we?
No, I don't think so.
Nope.
Didn't we?
No, I don't. No.
Well, we should have done, Rich. Why haven't we done one by now?
I have no idea. That's why I'm asking you. Let's do that sometime.
Okay.
That'd be great. But like I said, we do have some music to take a listen to today, and I know everybody out in the audience wants to hear it now that we've got our connection back up and running again. So let's do that right now. 3 new songs on the show today. Let's start out with song number 1. And find out what our panel has to think of it after everybody hears it. So here it is. This is track number 1 on today's Music Scene Investigation. Enjoy it, everyone. We'll be right back.
Chasing them dollar bills and new wicked rides. A place in Hollywood Hills, a penthouse in Dubai. A cheap thrill, 100 mil, a friend for the night. Go get what you want and forget what you need. You say that you want a better life, so get it tonight. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. You get that thing. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. Regret nothing. You and still getting paid. Joining the mile high inside your own plane. 'Cause every day you keep dreaming of the fortune and fame, but that life ain't gonna come easy. No, you ain't gonna score if you don't get in the game. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. You get that thing. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. Regret nothing. You find something to live for and then you follow through. You grab the bull by the horns and don't make no excuse. Don't make no excuse. Don't make no excuse. You find a thing you love. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. You get that thing. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. Regret nothing. You find something to live for and then you follow through. You grab the bull by the horns and don't make no excuse. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. You get that thing. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. You get that thing. You find a thing you love and you get that thing.
All right, that is track number 1 on the broadcast today, and we're going to go over to our panel, find out what they think of it. We'll start things out with Ian and get his thoughts. Ian, track number 1.
Okay, yeah, there's a good track here, isn't there? Great vocals, good production. Personally, on the production front, and I say this a lot, I'm a rocker, I've got long hair, it's what I do. Needed some guitars on this. Just some, on that chorus especially, you've got that big hooky sort of vocal. I would have stuck some nice underlined, distorted, overdriven guitars in the back end of that mix to really sort of give you that lift into that chorus and give it a bit more weight. But I mean, this is personal preference. What they have done with the track is very slick, and it does work. I just think a bit more attitude in that music to go with his vocal. He's got a very emotive vocal there. Did get a little bit repetitive towards the end. And again, I'm nitpicking. You can change arrangements, you can put fade outs if you really have to on things like that. And the ending was a tad abrupt. But I mean, I'm nitpicking. It's a very well written, very well performed, and very well produced track, which definitely has got soundtrack qualities to it as well.
All right. I appreciate it, Ian. Thank you very much. Now we'll go over to Andrea and get her thoughts on this track. Andrea, what do you think of track number 1?
Yeah, the minute this started, I loved it. It's the intro was so tight, and you could tell already that the sounds were going to be clean. And then his vocal comes in. It's like we talk so much on the show about getting the vocal in the right spot with the right presence, recorded well. And this is a perfect example. It's absolutely stunning. It sits in the right place. The guy's got a great voice. It's super clean and tight. And it immediately kind of locks you like, oh, yeah, I want to keep listening. Great hook on the song. I think the song it's a great song. This idea, get that thing. It really comes back and it's grooving. Nice, energy behind it, really good melody. And it's kind of this interesting mix of rock and electronic music that we don't necessarily hear a lot of anymore. You usually hear it's either electronic or it's rock, but it's kind of this mixture. And I would say I do agree with Ian about it could have used more lift, especially that first chorus. I really kind of expected it. For the guitar to come in there, for there to be that nice big distortion lift, and you miss it because that organ just isn't enough to take you all the way there. So I would say, yeah, and the production, it's a little bit sparse. It could be, it could use a little bit more, either some, some integration of some synth lines or a guitar part or something that kind of bumps it up there. But yeah, what a great track. Really, really great. I love the guy's voice. I mean, this is exactly one of those vocalists when you're talking about a great rock vocalist. This is what you're talking about. So really, really, really impressed.
All right, very cool. Thank you, Andrea. Now, Mr. Rob Puricelli and his thoughts on track number 1. Rob, what do you think of that track?
I'm with Andrew. I think it's a great track. What a great track to start with as well. When I first heard it, I thought, this is interesting. It's kind of slow. How is it going to build? Is it going to, bring? And it did. It delivered in everything. I love the fact, because normally when I'm on the show, and I do not mean this in disrespectfully in any way, but the majority of the stuff that I hear on this show is your traditional guitar, drums, bass, that kind of stuff. There's not a huge amount of electronics. Certainly on the shows that I'm listening to, or that I guest on. So it was really nice to hear something that's clearly been done with a lot of electronics, a lot of synths in there, drum machines and that. So that's my bag. I like that stuff. So I like that, and that got me in. The lyric, good lyric. It wasn't cheesy in any way. The subject could have been treated that way, but it really was a good little lyric. I agree with Andrew when she said about the chorus. It didn't seem to have as much lift as it required, but I noticed that I think the second repetition of the chorus had an extra layer or something in there, and so I thought, oh well, that's clever, because he started off with a fairly standard chorus, and he's probably got us thinking, well, come on, let's get us with the next one, and he kind of built it up. Maybe it could do with it a bit more as well. And I was expecting guitars. I sat here, I said, oh, here we go, we're going to get a big old guitar in there, and there wasn't. And in a way, I was kind of happy because there wasn't huge amounts of guitars in there, because I thought this is a really good electronic track. But then there was a little bit of guitar in there. It's sort of in the middle 8 break part. I like the little lo-fi drop. That was, when he dropped everything out, just his lo-fi vocals through a filter. That was nice. And then it comes back in with a bang. I just think that whether it's a guitar or whether it's a nice big kind of sparkly synth pad that's in the background there during the chorus, that would have just lifted it a little bit more, made it stand out a bit more. But overall, I think my opinion is songs 2 and 3 have got a heck of a lot to live up to.
All right, well, we'll find out if they can live up to that after we find out who this song was by. The name of song number 1 is Get That Thing, and it is by a group called Pedwell Rock, and we appreciate their sending that track into Music Scene Investigation. All right, if you're an indie artist out there anywhere in the world, want to get your song on our show, the only way to do it is go to musicsceneinvestigation.com. But do not do it now. Do not do it until we get the new website set up, because we're going to disable submissions until we get everything moved, and you'll know when they're back open again. We'll make sure we tell you. All right, 2 more tracks to take a listen to on today's show, so let's get to track number 2. And find out whether or not they can actually live up to Rob's thoughts on what they should. So we'll take a listen to track number 2 right now on today's Music Scene Investigation. Enjoy it, everyone.
To kill each other's dreams.
Now, there you have track number 2 on today's music scene investigation. We're going to throw it back over to our panel right now and get their thoughts on it. And we're going to start with Andrea this time around. Andrea, what do you think about track number 2?
Yeah, this is an interesting track. It's kind of got that Snow Patrol, Sigur Rós feel. It's kind of, it's where in this period of electronic music where songs really met the medium, and it was less about dance and more about being moody and having that song feel underneath it at the same time. And so I like that. It achieves it well. The production is really nice. It's the sounds are nice. The vocals are placed in the right place, and she's got a nice voice. And the only thing that I can say is was a little bit, something to improve is that the structure of the song was a little confusing. This chorus line, "No room to breathe underneath their feet," doesn't really it doesn't come up until the very last bits of the song. So if it's designed to be the chorus, it doesn't really stick out that way because we don't hear it until the very outro part. And in the other section where you're expecting a chorus, we get that intro part again, which is more like a backing vocal section instead of an actual melody idea with a lyric. So it's a little bit confusing what the actual hook is. And the only reason I think that in this particular case it might be necessary to have that is that the music is a little bit stagnant. It's typical of that genre. It kind of plugs along, and it's nice, but it doesn't have a lot of dynamic range. It doesn't hit you all of a sudden and then take you back down when the verse comes up. So in that way, you can get a little lost and dreamy in it, and maybe that's part of the appeal. But I think it still needs a stronger chorus, or to move that idea that's in the end somewhere towards the front so you get it right away. Oh, that's the chorus, and then you kind of get attached to it. And then maybe the end chorus, instead of it being the first introduction of it, you build it. You do something really big with it. You add more backing vocals, you add more instruments there so that we feel like we're going somewhere with you on this journey. But really, really good track. I love the sounds. I love the vibe. Vocal was nice. Really great track. This is a style of music that I actually really like a lot. So good work. Good work.
All right, very cool, Andrea. Thank you very much. And we go to Rob Puricelli. Rob, tell me what you think about track number 2.
Well, I said at the end of number 1 that 2 and 3 would have, to go some to match, and well, must have heard, because that really did. It was great. A really good song, good mix, good production, a little quirky, which I like. I thought her vocals were slightly reminiscent of Alanis Morissette, who I absolutely adore. I like the kind of the social commentary in the vocals. That was nice as well. I agree with Andrea completely about the chorus. And when that's kind of the second instance of the chorus, because the first time we heard it, we weren't quite sure if it was the chorus, and then we heard it again. Oh, right, so that's the chorus. I wanted it to be huge. I wanted it to come in and just go bang. Whether that was, how that was done, I don't know. How that should be done, I don't know. But it just needed to have something just to make it stand out a bit more. But I also appreciate the kind of, as Andrea said, that kind of dreamy quality of the track. It was really nice. It was delicate, but it had substance. I like the instrumentation. I like the mix of everything. You could hear everything and how it was playing off each other. It was very nice. I thought that the kind of the instrumental middle 8 bit was a little weak, but not massively so. When there was vocal harmonies, they were good vocal harmonies. They it suited the vocal style of the lead singer. Ever so many good things about this. And if I was to pick one criticism, it would be that chorus just needed something again, just to kind of lift it out. And even if it was just the once, I mean, I was trying to think of a song that does that, and I know there is one, but I can't think of the name of it. But there's a song where it's like really kind of like for 2/3 of it, it's kind of very subtle and dreamy and quiet, and then almost unexpectedly, there's the chorus comes in for the second time, and it's huge and it's massive, and it just sticks in your head, and then it goes all kind of quiet again, and that dynamic in the quality of the song is really interesting, but it also sticks that chorus in your head that you can't get it out of your head. And of course, that's what really makes a hit record. So great song, really, really great song. Just a few little things to play with.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Rob. Thank you very much. Now let's go over and find out what Ian thinks of track number 2. Ian?
I'm sitting here wondering if my esteemed colleagues listened to the same track as I did, to be honest. I'm not saying the song's bad. I like her voice. Elements of Portishead and Morcheeba for me, which is always a good thing. I like the dreaminess of it, of the vocal. To start with, that intro, the beat was pushed over to the right, and it was too prominent. It stuck out like a sore thumb. Personally, I would have kept the beats in the middle. They sort of hit in, I don't know, probably about 40 seconds to a minute in. Everything sort of kicked in, and the beats came back into the middle. They're a lot cleaner, a lot more open. But that lo-fi start, it was too long. I wanted that to come in sooner. And to me, the arrangement of the track needs a little bit of attention. Get the parts down. I like the use of the saw synth, but the sounds, the sonic palette of this to me, it sounded like it was out of the box. It sounds like someone's, or a couple of people have got a home studio set up. They've got limited sort of plugins and stuff like that to use, and they've done very well with what they've got. But the biggest thing for me on this was reverb, or lack thereof. It was very dry. And that, to me, was losing that ambience and that dreaminess that this track really should have captured. I wanted a lot deeper, smoother reverbs. Everything sort of seemed to be dry and up there. And there was, again, I want to create more space with this mix. I want to sort of feel it. I mean, there was a couple of bits where it sort of dropped out and dropped in again, and I felt the drop was nice. The bass kicked in nicely, and there was some good movements. The saw synth was nice, but it just, it lacked reverb. This was a very dry track, and because of that, you were lacking the ambience that it really, in my opinion, needed.
All right, Ian, I thank you very much. Appreciate your thoughts on that. Track number 2 is called Boom, and it's by a group called Photo Electric Band. We appreciate their sending that track in to Music Scene Investigation as well. I bet the title of that surprised you guys a little bit, huh?
I thought it was going to be R.
Oh, that old English saying R. All right. Song number 3 is up right now on Music Scene Investigation. Certainly hope that everybody enjoys it as well. Here it is, everybody. This is track number 3 on today's Music Scene Investigation. Enjoy.
I'm capable of both the typical stuff and the things you never knew. I don't know what I could say, and I'll say it in the simplest way, 'cause that'll make it easier to prove to you both the typical stuff and the things you never knew. Now you know what I can do. You can see possibilities of life with me. So crack open the window that is your mind. Look at what I'm doing, and in time you may appreciate why I'm here. As I articulate why forcing you to change your song's key. So I say that I'll never disappear from the proving grounds where I've been stuck, contemplating just how to get out of this hole. And if I'm capable of that, then yes, maybe you will surely and positively what I can do. 'Cause now you know just what I see, the possibilities of a life with me. Could be a breeze, a touch of sanity, with the possibilities. And now could I say, in the simplest way, that I know that a life with me is possibility. Possibly, it's life with me means I'll never disappear from this hole. I've been stuck for years in a life with me, 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 in a life with me. Seems that I'm stuck in a life with me, completely stuck in a life with me. Is that I'm glued to a life with me, no one around, no one but me. Oh yes, I'm stuck to this life with me. It's a life with me, life with me, it's a life with me, life with me, yes, life with me, life with me, life with me, life with me, life with me.
All right, there you have track number 3 on the broadcast today. Let's bring our panel back in and find out what they thought about track number 3. Going to start off with Rob. Rob, what do you think about track number 3 after hearing it?
Odd, isn't it? I don't know whether I like it or not. I'm still thinking about it, and I guess then that maybe it's a good thing. First of all, from a technical aspect, the reverb, and Ian mentioned it on the other track. He said, there's complete absence of reverb. Well, on this track, there's just like, how much reverb can we have? How much? That much? Yeah, let's have that. And can we have some more on top of that as well? Everything was kind of bathed in reverb and then just kind of lost itself. And the drums had far too much reverb on. Just painful, really. I like tempo changes. I like quirky. I'm a drummer at heart. I've been playing drums since I was a young boy, and so I like interesting tempos and interesting tempo changes. And I love prog. So I'm very familiar with all of those odd things, and I like the way that you mix up the tempo. They mix up the tempo changes here, but it was kind of, again, the reverb was killing it for me. Far too much of that. The vocal style seemed to jar as well. It clearly can sing in tune. It just didn't seem to fit the music. It seemed too nice to fit the music, too good. It's kind of, am I articulating that well? Just didn't seem to fit the music. And there was a kind of an element, I kept thinking, what does this remind me of? And in parts, it reminded me of REM. There was a kind of quality with the guitars that was very REM. And then, all these tempo changes, well, they could pick any kind of prog rock band. And then it almost had a Spinal Tap quality to it as well. It was odd. I think that was the first word that I wrote down in my little notepad here, odd. And I like odd, but I like odd with not so much reverb. And maybe the vocals need to be a bit more playful in terms of their style, not necessarily the words, but please back off the reverb. Yeah, there you go. That's me.
All right. I appreciate it, Rob. Thank you very much. Over to Ian and his thoughts. Ian, what do you think?
I personally think these band are thieves, and they've nicked some of the reverb off the previous track and used it on theirs. I think they should give it back. I think it would help both songs, to be honest, if they gave it back. Yeah, Rob's hit the nail on the head with the reverb. It sounds like this is recorded in a train tunnel or something like that. And look, time changes. Time changes are all very wonderful in songs, but do me a favour and get the sections in time with themselves before you change time, because it was sloppy. It was all over the place. That guitar was not locking in with the drums at all. The drums were missing bits and sort of speeding up and slowing down here and there. I'm guessing this might have been done live, which is why it might sound so reverby as well. It's kind of like sort of Jim Morrison got together with some posh English gent and said, yeah, man, let's have a jam. And you got this guy going, come with me, over this sort of Dawesy sort of Dawes-esque sort of psychedelic off their tits style music. I like it. I do like it. There's an element in there that sort of gels with me, but you know, there's timing issues, there's reverb and reverb issues, and there's mix issues all over the place as well. There's the element of something fun here and something creative and something fresh, which I like. You know, someone doing something a bit left to centre for what is now, and that's got a lot of appeal. So, you know, develop that, and you know, look at the sort of bands that have done that in the past. People like Frank Zappa, who done that sort of weird psychedelic rock stuff, and you know, even the Doors. Have a look at some of the Doors stuff. Go back and investigate. And if you get your production down and your performances down a bit better, then you know you might be onto something fun and cool that could do something. You know.
All right, I appreciate it, Ian. Thank you very much. Track number 3. It's called Life With Me, and it's by Robert Nix. I'm sorry?
What about Andrea?
I did Andrea, didn't I?
Nope.
Did I forget Andrea? I'm sorry,
It did not
Andrea.
do me, Rich.
You cannot leave baby in the corner.
That's just
That's
a dirty
true.
rumour.
That's true. I'm sorry, Andrea. Let's find out what Andrea thinks.
Believe me, you would have remembered.
What do you think of track number 3?
Okay. Well, let's see. Like Rob, I had trouble, but you know, thinking I don't hate it. It's not that I hate it. There's something really interesting, and I like odd things too. But it would have to be done well, right? We would need the like Ian said, the timing to be right. We would need the playing to be tight. We would need the separation of these instruments to not be so dramatic, you know, not only panned so extreme, but in their tone so dramatically far away from each other. It doesn't feel like anybody's actually playing together. The vocals really pitchy. You know, there's little bits of things you can hear, and you can almost hear them if they were done well. It'd be like, wow, this actually could be interesting. Pinky in the chat room said Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and yeah, it does. It has that feel. It has that character. It could be this could be somebody's you know, Broadway stage play that's about the, you know, the era of psychedelic drugs and that whole thing, and it could be great. But it needs for all of the elements to be worked on and to be loved. You know, the band needs to be together. The sounds need to be great. And I would say to the vocalist, maybe this is not your project. You need a theatrical vocalist. You need somebody who can really carry this idea, and then you might really have something. So the core of a good idea, is this music ever coming back in style for radio? I'm going to say no, but doesn't mean that there isn't some place that this could land. But, you know, if you want something to be extraordinary, you really have to love it. And I think that this has just not had that kind of time and development put into it.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Andrea. I'm sorry. I just can't believe I forgot you. I'm so sorry.
You
That's
can't
okay,
believe
Rich.
it. What do you think the rest of us are like? I mean,
I
we're
know
all
the
shocked.
chat room is dragging me out to dry here. Anyway, all right.
You know, sometimes I have that effect on people, Rich. You
Yeah.
know, I'm so incredibly charismatic that they forget that I'm there.
You're right.
And-
You're right. I'm just sorry. I didn't mean to forget you.
If
All
I
right.
was
All
hosting
right.
this show, Andrea, if I was hosting this show, I'd never forget you, darling.
All right, Ian,
Oh.
here you go. Take over.
Well, there we go, ladies and gents. And song 3 was called Rich.
Song number 3 is called Life With Me, and that track is by Robert Nix, and we appreciate him sending that track in as well. Thank you very much.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, no,
Go on.
carry on.
All right. All we have left to do right now is have our panelists select a song of the week. We're going to turn it over to them, get their thoughts, and find out who they vote for. So, guys and gal, please make your thoughts known and let me know what you think.
Right, well, I'm going to jump straight in. I don't think it worked out as Rob hopes on the first song that 2 and 3 were going to stand up to number 1 as he would have liked. So it's easy for me. As I said, number 2, you got a good song, but mix-wise and production-wise, it needs some love. Track 3, enough said. So track 1 for me, please, Richard.
All righty, sir. Rob and Andrea, what do you think?
Well, ladies first.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
Well-
I'm in agreement with Ian. I'm going with number 1. If all we can find to say is that it needs a little bit of guitar lift and maybe a couple other additional production tips, I think that we've found our winner.
All right, and Rob?
So it doesn't really matter what I think now because the
Well,
winner has been decided.
Of course, it matters. It matters.
Yeah. So as I said, after track number 1, 2 and 3 had a lot to live up to. 3, unfortunately, didn't step up to the plate. So as much as I like odd and quirky, there was a lot that needed to be done to that. And I would love to hear that song again if they get a chance to re-record it without all of that reverb and addressing some of the issues that we highlighted. But if you were to put a gun to my head and ask me to choose between 1 and 2, I'm going to have to go with number 2. I'm going to have to go with Boom because number 1, as great as it was, as a fantastic, it's one of the best opening tracks I've ever had the privilege of listening to on this show. To me, it sounded too much like a lot of other things that you can hear nowadays on the radio, and therefore it will work great. If this artist submits that track somehow, and it would get played without a shadow of a doubt because it fits in. And I don't necessarily think fitting in is a great thing, and that's why I'm choosing number 2 because I think that it had all of the good qualities of the first track in terms of the mix and the production. It had a little work to be done, but so did track number 1, and I just kind of like the oddness of that second track. So I'm going to go against the grain, I think, for the first time ever on one of these, and I'm going to go for track number 2 as mine.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's thoughts, but we do have a split decision. The song of the week for this week is called Get That Thing by Pedwell, and we appreciate everybody joining us today. Rob, really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
It's always a pleasure and never a chore. Thank you ever so much for having me. Great fun, as usual.
I really appreciate it. Ian, Andrea, thank you as well. Always great to have you, Andrea. I promise I won't forget you again.
Oh, no, you won't.
That sounded like a threat. Somebody.
Don't worry,
All right.
Rich. No, it's okay. Don't
All
worry.
right.
It
That's
happens
your
to the
wedding
best of
invitation
us.
out of the window.
There you go.
Make him walk the plank, sir. And that's what we should do. We should make him walk the plank.
Did he say I'm going to the bar? I don't know. All right. Thanks to everybody out in the audience as well for being here. Really appreciate it. Remember, we got that donate sign up on the right-hand side of the page for a reason. We really would appreciate your help and really do appreciate those who have helped as well. And tomorrow, we're shutting down the submission process. So if you're going to submit something, do it tonight or wait until after we get everything moved to the new server.
And Box of Crap has put a thank you out, and I think we should read it out. Box of Crap says, thanks to all who were brave enough to enter their tunes for analysis, enter again, and enter often.
And we do have a lot of people who do just that, and we really appreciate that as well. So the more the merrier. Submit your music. We really appreciate it. We'll be back again next week doing this all over again, so make sure you tune in. Join us at MusicSceneInvestigation.com. You can also see the recorded episodes on our website and on iTunes, as well as hear them right there as well. So thanks for being here, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. We're going to play out right now with Pedwell and Get That Thing on Music Scene Investigation. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll talk to you again next week.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Bye-bye.
Chasing them dollar bills and new wicked rides. A place in Hollywood Hills, a penthouse in Dubai. A cheap thrill, 100 mil, a friend for the night. Go get what you want and forget what you need. You say that you want a better life, so get it tonight. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. You get that thing. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. Regret nothing. You find something to live for and then you follow through. You grab the bull by the horns and don't make no excuse. Quitting that 9 to 5 and still getting paid. Joining the mile high inside your own plane. 'Cause every day you keep dreaming of the fortune and fame. But that life ain't gonna come easy. No, you ain't gonna score if you don't get in the game. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. You get that thing. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. Regret nothing. You find something to live for and then you follow through. You grab the bull by the horns and don't make no excuse. Don't make no excuse. Don't make no excuse. You find a thing you love. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. You get that thing. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. Regret nothing. You find something to live for and then you follow through. You grab the bull by the horns and don't make no excuse. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. You get that thing. You find a thing you love and you get that thing. You get that thing. You find a thing you love and you get that thing.